Untap, Upkeep, and welcome back to the channel if you've been here before, and if you haven't, then please sit back, relax, and enjoy our show for you today. So, a while back, I did a poll asking for what deck somebody would like to see built on a budget where everything is $1 or less. Bator Can All won that poll, and I will be working on a possible deck for that, and you will see it hopefully soon into the future, as well as probably some of the other new dragons that came out from the Tarkir Dragonstorm set. No surprise, I really love this set. I think it's awesome and just yay, love it. I'm all giddy. But for today's video, I figured I would share with y'all one of the almost glass cannon-like monsters that I have, especially in paper. It's one that got banned from my own house. My better half says no. Never again. You're never allowed to play that again against me. I don't know why she's so animate about it. I mean, it's just something. No big deal. Okay, maybe it will be when we see what it is. Keep in mind, I will explain a little bit more as to why I built it the way I did versus probably the most optimized version that you can actually build the deck to. Well, with that, let's get ready to dive into it and see just what we got going on here. So, as you can probably see, we are erupting Eldrazi's. And that is because our commander is none other than Haragast, erupting Nullkite. Now, before I dive into the commander, it is important to know that when I originally came up with this deck and built this deck some time ago now, this was a personal challenge for myself because I am known in my area as the Dragon King, whichever one you prefer, and so just bear with me, because every deck I own and I bring to my local game stores is either led by a dragon at the very least, or it is a very janky dragon theme within the deck. Some of the decks, they work better as the dragon theme, some of them do not. Some of the decks are just led by a dragon, which is predominantly the case here for the erupting Nullkite, mainly because it is the closest thing I will ever get for the time being to having a colorless dragon. Now, I said it in quotes because yes, his original mana cost makes him a colorless creature, but he's really not as far as overall Magic is designed, because he has an emergence cost of 6 and double red. So for 9 mana, we get a 6/6 Eldrazi dragon, which blew my mind when they released this. I was just like, a new dragon, yay! And he has Emerge, and the Emerge cost actually makes him a mono red card versus just a colorless card, so that's kind of a real bummer for me. I kind of wish they would have just been like 6 and double colorless, kind of like you do with like Emrakul. Not Emrakul, Kozilek. So there is a Kozilek, which you can see in the shot a little bit here, that is 8 and double colorless. Now, that is very, very important, and we'll get to it in a minute. But Haragast here says whenever you cast the spell, you may exile your hand. And if you do, you get to draw 3 cards. He has flying, and then each creature spell you cast has Emerge. Each Emerge cost is equal to its mana cost. Now, the way this works is one of the cards you can kind of see here in the shot as well that works really well with the Emerge cost of our commander is very simple. So we have Frogmere Enforcer, which you kind of can see in the shot a little bit. He's a 7 mana creature. If we were able to get this out fast enough, then we're able to sacrifice it to our commander for his emergent cost. And if we do that, then he only costs 2 red mana if it's the first time we cast him, because the 7 mana Enforcer will take away all 6 of the required mana that is colorless in order to cast our dragon for a discounted price. Now, overall, it's not that much of a discount, but when the chain starts going, it's really interesting because you can sacrifice some pretty interesting things to get some interesting chains going. I will advise I do not have the infinite mana combo in this deck. It is stupid easy to throw in here, and I will touch base on it as we go through the deck. It's just not something I wanted to have into the deck. I could easily throw it into the deck. It wouldn't be a problem, but that's just not the way that I didn't want to build the deck. So I didn't build it that way. But let's move forward and let's look at our Planeswalker situation, shall we? First up, we have the big bad new Ugin from the Parkir Dragonstorm set. So he's 7 mana for a 7 loyalty Planeswalker. That's already interesting. But this card is so backbreakingly broken in this deck. So whenever you cast him, you can exile target permanent that's 1 or more colors. Whenever you cast another colorless spell, exile up to 1 other target permanent that is 1 or more colors. You can +2 him to gain 3 life and draw a card. Quite important, actually. You can 0 him to add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool. I have to check on the actual ruling, but based on the way the card is printed, you could actually use that mana to cast Kozilek the Great Distortion. If I'm right, I haven't looked at the actual ruling on that, but it would appear to be that way because Kozilek is very, very specific. You have to have colorless mana to cast him, and if I'm not mistaken, it does work that way. Like, I'm 99% sure it works that way because all it does is make colorless mana. But his ultimate is really dumb, guys. For -11, search your library for any number of colorless non-land cards and exile them, then shuffle. Until end of turn, you may cast those cards without paying their mana cost. You can literally tutor up the entire deck but lands into your hand, everybody, and just exile anything and everything we want. And at that point, it's hard to lose, but possible. That Ugin's just backbreaking, everybody. So next up we have the War of the Spark Ugin, which is typically not as powerful, but it's really, really good in this deck. So for 6 mana, we get a 4 loyalty Ugin that has the only relevant text that we care about. Colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. That is all we care about. We can exile the top card of our library face down and look at it. We can make it a 2/2 colorless spirit creature token that says when this token leaves the battlefield, put it into your hand. That does include if it got blinked, bounced, or even just blown up, we will still get that. Basically, whatever card it is face down, it will come back to our hand. We can also -3 to destroy target permanent that's 1 or more colors, so we can get rid of most problematic permanents that we'll see, as long as they are at least more than 1 color. So there is that little upside to this Ugin, I guess you could say. Next up, we have the big Eugene. Oh, if you haven't noticed, Ugin is typically referred to as Eugene. Don't know if anybody's ever told you that, but why? I don't know, but it's funny. Somebody started it, and it's funny. And yes, this Ugin is absolutely gorgeous. I am very blessed to say I have gotten lucky to get one in a booster pack thanks to my better half. She can rip some amazing packs, guys. Like, what the crap? So, it's foil, it's pretty, everybody around my area loves it. Sorry about that. This is the 8-drop Ugin. A lot of people already know about this Ugin, but we'll go over it. So for 8 mana, we get a 7 loyalty walker that says +2, he deals 3 damage to any target. Then we can -X to basically board wipe. We can exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less, that's 1 or more colors. -10. We get to gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, and put up to 7 permanent cards from our hand onto the battlefield. So with this Ugin, we're able to basically vomit onto the battlefield, and it's just not good, especially because we can do it for free. It's just not good, guys. Not good for your opponent. Because as you could probably see in the screenshot below, we're an Eldrazi themed deck. This price tag is really, really high because I have a lot of really cool, fancy borderless foil arts in here and whatnot. But if you took away a lot of that, it goes down a little bit. The Eldrazi are expensive. There's just not much anybody can say or do about it. Most of them are. Some of them are not that bad. I'm very lucky to say I have all of the Titans, and not in all of these arts, but a couple of them. So I feel very blessed to have that. So don't get it misconstrued. But we're gonna start with the Conduit of Ruin, who is a 6 mana 5/5 Eldrazi that says when you cast him, you may search your library for a colorless creature card with a converted mana cost 7 or greater. Reveal it, then shuffle your library. Put that card on top, and the first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. So it makes our big dumb idiots way more on the not so expensive side, which we really, really like because Eldrazi are expensive. Lies on their board. Both mana and money. Oof. Crashing Drawbridge, just a 2-drop defender that I really like running in decks like this because you could tap him to give everything haste. It doesn't matter per se if we just vomit everything onto the battlefield if you can't do anything with it. So, like, what's the point if you can't smash face with it right away? So I like having my little friend here, the Crashing Drawbridge, especially as early as I can, or at least the turn before I'm fixing to just do horrible, nasty things to all my friends. Emrakul, the Promised End. What do we have to say? If you don't know the Eldrazi Titans, well, you better. So for 13 mana, we get a 13/13 Eldrazi that has a couple of caveats to it. So for one, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each card type among cards in my graveyard. So when we go to cast them, we count the number of card types in our graveyard, so land, artifact, creature, enchantment, blah blah blah, and that lowers the actual mana cost of casting this big dumb idiot. And it says whenever you cast a spell, you gain control of target opponent's turn, and after that turn, that player takes an extra turn. So probably a good idea to pick somebody you can just wipe off the face of the planet, or if you pick them, you better make sure you could booger them up really, really bad. Emrakul also has flying, trample, and protection from instants. So you're not going to path it, you're not going to swords it, you're not going to Beast Within or anything like that. This Emrakul, you have to do things at sorcery speed to get rid of it, such as like a, I don't know, sorcery speed fight spell or something maybe. There's a couple of exile effects and sorcery speed that might could touch this. But if it says instant, you can't use it against Emrakul here. And the fact that it's a 13 flample makes it quite difficult. Next up, though, we have the new one from Modern Horizons 3, Emrakul, The World Anew. So for 12 mana, we get a 12/12 Eldrazi that says the following. Whenever you cast a spell, gain control of all creatures target player controls. Also, flying, protection from spells, and from permanents that were cast this turn. Also, when Emrakul, the World Anew, leaves the battlefield, sack all creatures you control. That's a sad face. But it gets worse. So we also have Madness K6 colorless. That means if we were to discard it for, I don't know, Back's Hand, well, there's a Gaia Reach Sanitarium, I believe, in this deck. Sorry, my nose is a little itchy. So Gaia Reach Sanitarium would allow us to pay 2, tap it, draw a card, and discard a card. If we had just enough mana, we could possibly draw this and discard it. Or if we already have it in hand, discard it. Pay 6 mana, and bam, we have a big dumb idiot. It's kind of disgusting. We also have the Endbringer, which is just a 6 mana 5/5 with a couple of abilities. It untaps during each player's untap step. We could tap it to deal damage to target creature or player. Pay 1, tap it. Target creature can't attack or block this turn. With a more common mode, I think we would use this for, which is tap 2 colorless, tap it to draw a card. The fact that it untaps during everybody's turn is really, really nice. If you have enough mana, you're not really doing much, you can at least start digging through the deck. Flare of Loyalty is a 10-drop, 10/10. It says whenever you cast it, gain control of target creature until end of turn, untap that creature until end of turn. It has base power, toughness 10/10, gains trample, Annihilator 2, and haste. This thing also has trample and Annihilator 2. A lot of people don't like fighting Annihilator. A lot of people tend to scoop pretty quick when they start seeing Annihilator because people don't like having to sacrifice their stuff, especially when it's down to just their lands. This is the Kozilek Great Distortion I was talking about. He's 8 and colorless. Colorless, you must have 2 colorless mana to play it. Well, we're a colorless deck, so that's not going to be a problem. But you cannot just pay any kind of mana you want, as is traditionally seen with the other Eldrazi. You must have 2 colorless mana to cast this big dumb idiot. So for 10 mana, we get a 12/12 that says whenever you cast it, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, draw cards equal to that difference. It also has Menace, and that means you have to block it with at least 2 creatures or not block at all. And it gets worse for our opponent because we can also discard a card with a mana value X, and if we do, counter a spell that has that same mana value. So if somebody tried to do some horrible, nasty shenanigans at like the 4-drop slot, we could discard like a Solemn Simulacrum to counter a board wipe, because most of your board wipes are around that 4 mana slot. And there's other little things we could get rid of. It's not really too much work dealing with this Kozilek's ability to discard and counter spells, but it is a nice option to have. We also have the new one from Modern Horizons 3, Kozilek Broken Reality. So for 9 mana, we get a 9 that says whenever you cast a spell, up to 2 target players each manifest 2 cards from their hands. For each card manifested this way, you get to draw a card. And other colorless creatures you control get a +3/+2. So he pumps the board, and he makes us have to pick somebody, and they get to put some cards face down onto the battlefield. Kozilek, the Butcher of Truth, is next up. He's a 10 mana 12/12. So that's whenever you cast a spell, draw 4 cards. He has Annihilator 4, and if he would be put into the graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it back into the deck. So it's one of the popular, what we call in the Magic world, Shuffle Titans. I have the other one in here. We'll get to him in a little bit. So we also have it that heralds the end for 1, and a colorless. We get a 2/2 that says colorless spells you cast with mana value 7 or greater cost 1 less to cast. Also, other colorless creatures you control get a +1/+1. So he's a little bit of a mini lord, which is fine. That's neat. Really care about him just because he lowers our overall mana cost. Glaring Flesh Raker is an absolute house in this deck if you get it out quick enough. So for 3 mana, we get a 2/2 that says whenever you cast a colorless spell, make an 0/1 Eldrazi spawn creature token with, sack it at colorless. I know what you're thinking. That's pretty sweet. Free body on the top of, casting our spells. Pretty nice. No, boo-boo. Boo-boo. No. We hadn't even scratched that surface. So he has another ability, y'all. Whenever another colorless creature enters the battlefield under your control, he's going to deal 1 damage to each opponent. Everybody gets hurt. That means when you have him on the battlefield and you cast, Crashing Drawbridge, you get the Eldrazi spawn, comes into play, deals a damage to everybody. Then the Drawbridge comes into play, deals a damage to everybody. And that's how your pain train starts to go. And then, for some reason, people don't like it. I don't know why. Next up, we have the Frogmere Enforcer. We can cast it for 4 mana for its prototype cost. In that case, it will be a 4 mana 2/2, or if we get lucky enough, We can cast it for its full 7 as a 4/4, which shouldn't be too hard. It has affinity for artifacts, meaning for every artifact we have on our battlefield, its mana cost is reduced by 1. So if we have a total of 7 artifacts on our battlefield, this thing is free. We like that. Next up, Liberator, Urza's Battle Thop Thop. So for 3 mana, we get a 1/2, and I think this is one of the baddest cards in the deck. It has Flash, it has Flying, so we can do this on our opponent's turn. It says whenever you cast a colorless spell or artifact spell as though they have Flash. And then it says whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast that spell is greater than the Battle Thopter's power, put a 1/1 counter on it. Pretty simple. It gets bigger and it makes our stuff flash speed. What's not to like? Mirror Enforcer has affinity for artifacts and it's a 7 mana for 4. That's really it. It's in here just to make our commander cheaper and or some of the other Eldrazi Titans. Oblivion Sower is really funny. 6 mana 5/8. When it ETBs, exile the top 4 cards of somebody's library. And we can put any number of lands that are in exile onto the battlefield under our control that they own. So if they happen to get, I don't know, Bajuka Bogged after playing like that new Taval deck, then all their lands that are in the exile zone, if we play Oblivion Sower and go after them, we get all of their lands. Oops. Sorry, not sorry. We have Palladium Mirror, 3-drop, just a little ramping mana dork. The Roaming Throne, everybody knows about the Roaming Throne. It is disgusting in this deck. It doubles the triggers of whatever creature type you choose. So in this case, Eldrazi. And that means like the Glaring Flesh Raker will do double duty. And it's pretty disgusting. Sandstone Oracle, I'm still kind of tinkering with this one. 7 mana 4/4 flying. When it ETBs, we're able to pick an opponent. And if they have more cards in hand than us, we draw equal to the difference. So typically, if we have 1 or 2 cards and we pick somebody with 5 or more, we draw 3 at least. We like that. Well, 3 or 4, minimum. Next up, Ulamog's Dreadsire. For 10 mana, we get a 10/10. It's actually from the Precon, the Modern Horizons 3 Precon, if I'm not mistaken. Or, yeah, it should be that. Anyways, it has Vigilance, like it needs it. Has Wards, sacrifice a permanent with mana value 1 or greater. What? And then it can just tap and make a 10/10 Eldrazi creature token. You know, just no big deal. I really like this guy too. This is a Spawn Bed Protector. For 7 mana, we get a 6/8 that says at the beginning of your end step, return up to 1 target Eldrazi creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Create 2 1/1 Eldrazi Scion creature tokens with sack added colors. Excuse me. Y'all are out there yawning again. Yeah, I don't know why y'all do that to me. It's not nice. So, the Spawn Bed Protector, though, is really important to this deck because if we are sacrificing, like, I don't know, Oblivion Sower to play our commander or one of the other big titans, we can use this guy to get it back, at least at the end of the turn. Sad Robot allows us to go find a basic land, and when he dies, draw a card. We don't mind having him eat the graveyard to cast our commander for its emergent cost. Sojourner's Companion is basically another Mirror Enforcer, has affinity for artifacts, 7 mana 4/4. Skirting Persecutor is a 2 and a red for a 3/3. Eldrazi, it says, whenever you sacrifice a non-token permanent, make a Eldrazi spawn creature token, and it has Menace. Skirting Cicada is another really fun card for this deck. 3 mana 2/2 with Flash, and it gives our colorless spells Flash. I mean, that's really it. It gets bigger whenever you cast colorless spells. We don't care. We don't care. We just care about being able to cast our stuff at Flash speed. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, 10 mana 10/10. Whenever you cast it, exile 2 target permanents. It has Indestructible. It's indestructible. Yeah. But it also says whenever he attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of their library. So this happens before any kind of blockers are declared or anything like that. This goes onto the stack, and then you could go through. This is an attack trigger, and it is disgusting. When you have the Roaming Throne, instead of just doing 20, you do 40, and people get really sad. Ulamog, the Defiler. This is the new one from Modern Horizons 3. For 10 mana, we get a 7/7, not quite as impressive as the others or his previous form. Oh, but wait, it gets better. Excuse me. So whenever you cast a spell, target opponent exiles half of their library rounded up. What? It has Ward, sacrifice 2 permanents, as if this already wasn't a problem. Then it says, whenever he enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on equal to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. This does include yourself. So if somebody exiled one of our big, dumb, idiotic Eldrazi's that's, an Emrakul at 13 mana, if there's nothing bigger than 13, he gets 13 1/1 counters, making him a horrifying 20/20. That also says as Ulamog has Annihilator X, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on it. So if you exile one of our big Emrakuls and we play this idiot, not only do you lose half of your deck, and it's an exile, by the way. It's now a gigantic 20/20 that when we attack, you have to sack 13 permanents. Isn't that grand? Yeah, people don't like him. He kills spells very quickly. Then we also have the other Ulamog, the other Shuffle Titan. 11 mana, 10/10. Whenever you cast a spell, destroy target permanent. It's indestructible. Has Annihilator 4, and for some reason it would be milled or discarded from our hand. It shuffles right back into the deck. So we like that. We also have You Can't Even with the Void Winnower. And yes, if you look this up on Gather or the companion app itself and look up the actual rulings, one of the official rulings will say, yes, we know, you get it, you can't even. Something along those lines. But it's a 9 mana, 11/9 that says your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana cost. Your opponents can't block with creatures with even converted mana cost. It's just a really bad back-breaking piece. Warden of Geometries is just a expensive mana dork. I've been toying around with him in the deck. I think I'm going to take him out for either a little bit more card draw or another spot of removal. Zuladok the Void Gorger. He's from the first Eldrazi Precon. This one should be the Commander Masters set. So for 6 mana, we get a 7/4 that says, colorless spells you cast from your hand with mana value 7 or greater have Cascade. It does horrible things. And, well, I'm here for it. Moving forward, the rest of the deck is very, very minimal. Our sorceries are board wipe, which is Follows Dust. And we also run Rise of the Eldrazi from the Commander Masters Precon as well. This is a 12 mana sorcery that says the spell can't be countered. Oh, great, so we can't stop it. Destroy target permanent, target player draws 4 cards, take an extra turn after this one, and then you exile this thing. Great, as if that just, wasn't enough. Our instant package is very light as well. Desecrate Reality, 7 mana for an instant that says for each opponent exile to 1 target permanent that player controls with an even mana value. And then, if you spend at least 3 colorless mana to cast the spell, you get to return a permanent card with an odd mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield. So we can get one of our big dumb idiotic Titans out, or something along those lines. Eldritch Immunity. So it's 1 mana, target creature you control gains protection from each color until end of turn, or for 4 and a colorless, instant speed, we can overload it, and all of our stuff gains protection from basically, well, everything. You're going to have to do mass wipes or something, because you're not just going to Swords or Path or something like that, because no, we said no. Kozilek's Command, so X double colorless. Choose 2. Target player creates X01 Eldrazi spawn creature tokens with sack it and a mana. Target player scries X and draws a card. Exile target creature with mana value X or less, and exile up to X target creature cards from the game. From the graveyard. Graveyard. Kind of the same thing at that point. We also have Not of This World. It's the really wonky 7 mana counter spell. So you counter target spell or ability that targets a permanent you control. Also, Not of This World costs 7 less, so it will be free to cast if it targets a spell or ability that targets a creature you control with power 7 or greater. So if you were trying to Swords Path, blow up, whatever, one of our big dumb Eldrazi Titans, we can cast this for free and say, we're not about that life. Not Elemental Blast. 1 mana, we get to counter target multicolored spells so we can deal with some commanders, or we could just straight up blow up something that's multicolor. Pretty nifty. Finally, there's Warping Whale, 2 mana. Choose target creature with power. Exile. I don't know why I said choose. Exile target creature with power or toughness 1 or less. Counter target sorcery spell, or make an 1/1 Eldrazi Scion. Not the most backbreaking card, but it is kind of funny. I actually got to use this to counter somebody's sorcery in a game, and it was hilarious because their face was just like, wait, a counter spell in a colorless deck? Oh man, it was hilarious, everybody. It was just great. It was great. Our Mana Rock package is really, really dumb. We have Arcane Signet, Everflowing Chalice, Hedron Archive, Liquid Metal Torrent. We're running the Soul Ring, Worn Power Stone, Wayfarer's Bubble, Expedition Map, Mind Stone, Belwar Stone, a Fire Diamond, Prismatic Lens, Thread Dynamo, Thought Vessel. That's all of our Mana Rocks. Of course, we have the One Ring in here to be able to draw some cards. This is a colorless deck. It's a little fragile. The Skull Clamp to eat some of the Eldrazi Scions or whatever that we're making and draw some cards. Reckoner Bank Buster allows us to draw some cards for a little while and make a couple of bodies. Bulldog and Orrery allows us to play our stuff at instant speed, which we like. Forsaken Monument, 5 mana to cast a legendary artifact that says colorless creatures you control get +2/+2. Whenever you tap a permanent for a colorless mana, add an additional colorless. And then whenever you cast a colorless spell, we're going to gain 2 life. It doesn't matter if you counter it, you dirty, nasty blue player. We're still getting our life total, dadgummit. But the infinite mana combo I was talking about earlier is if you put Basalt Monolith, or even if you're more expensive, Grim Monolith with this card, you make infinite colorless mana because it makes an additional colorless mana every time you tap that for a colorless. Excuse me. Would y'all please stop yawning out there? You're not helping me make this video. But back to our game plan here and our situation. Basalt Monolith taps to add 3 colorless mana, and with our Forsaken Monument adding an additional colorless, it actually makes 4. You pay 3 to untap it, tap it, pay 3, untap it. There you go, you have infinite mana, so you basically cast anything and everything you want out of the deck. Grim Monolith can do the same thing, it adds an additional, and it costs a little bit more to untap it, so you could do that too if you felt like really upping some kind of budget. Last but not least, we have the Spear. So for 1 mana, we get an artifact that says equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample and lifelink. So if we put this on our Glaring Fresh Shrinker, every time we cast a colorless spell, we're able to deal a damage to each of our opponents and gain all that life. So we gain 3 life while they all take 1. I like that idea. Also, we can pay 1 to make our opponent's stuff that has hexproof and indestructible go bye. So it's a nice little piece of tech here to have into the deck. Our enchantments are really, really dumb as well. We have Eldrazi Conscription, an 8 mana Eldrazi Aura that says enchanted creature gets +1, get a +10/+10 trample and Annihilator 2. Because why not? And finally, we have the one from Modern Horizons 3 that a lot of people were going gaga over, and including myself, because it is just so much fun. We get a wonderful Eldrazi enchantment that says for 6 mana, if a triggered ability of a colorless spell you control or another colorless permanent you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. He then goes on to say, whenever you cast a colorless spell, you get to copy it. You may choose new copies for the copy. That means if we cast our I don't know, Kozilek lets us draw 4 cards, we get another token copy of it. And if I remember the ruling on it correctly, we do get to draw 4 cards, but state-based action does take effect where we have to pick one to keep, pick one to sacrifice because they are both legendary permanents. I think I remember looking up the actual ruling to that, and I believe that's how that actually works. Our land base, I'm not really going to highlight too much of it. You can kind of go through in the description below, clicking on the link for this actual deck, and kind of go through it yourself. With colorless lands, you're very limited to it. I mean, there's Tron with the Urza lands. There's Balin's Tomb. There's Bonder's Enclave, Eldrazi Temple, Urza Saga, Ugin's Labyrinth. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting cards in this deck to be able to get our game plan up and running off the ground. For instance, if you've never seen an Eldrazi Temple, tap it, add a colorless, or tap to add 2 mana to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast Eldrazi spells or activate Eldrazi abilities. So it's pretty nice. Scavenger Grounds being able to exile graveyards is really, really sweet. I think I need to go through and edit this a little bit because I don't see my traditional 1 piece of removal for a land. Uh-oh. Don't know how I overlooked that, but I guess I'm going to have to. Then there's the Tron lands, all the Urza lands. The cave can allow us to go find a specific land that we need and put it onto the battlefield. But predominantly, we like it here because of Urza's Workshop. So originally, it's just taps to add more colors, but you could tap it to add 1 mana for each Urza's land you control. Activate only if you control 3 or more artifacts. So if you have at least Tron and this, you make 4 mana on top of Tron. If you have the cave out with the other Urza lands, well then you're making more mana. Because we also have oh, I don't see it in here. Oh, it's right in front of my face. The Planar Nexus. So it's every non-basic land type, meaning it is a non-basic land type that includes cave, desert, gate, lair, locust, mine, power plant, sphere, tower, and Urzas. So if this is out while we have the workshop out, it counts. It counts for that. It also turns on original Tron. Any of them will get immediately turned on with the Planar Nexus, and it's really interesting. And for whatever reason, we're running a Degum Rogue's Passage. I still haven't figured out why it's in here. Kind of not really a land, but this is the Eye of Ugin. Color Eldrazi spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Sack it, and search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, put it to your hand, then shuffle. That's okay. That's pretty much it though. That's the whole deck. That's some of the nasties we do. Our mana curve is just janky. It's all over the place. Then it's about keeping good hands. Now my hand's decent. Well, we can use the Labyrinth to exile the Oracle. I don't know. That might have been a good hand. I don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, whatever your binary preference is, this has been a look into my very personal, very dear to me, Eldrazi Dragon colorless not really precon, but kind of budgetless deck. It's something I've been working on for a little while, and I'm still tweaking it more and more each and every time I get to play it, which is very seldom. Because either A, it gets banned right away because it just does horrible, disgusting things to everybody, or B, everybody is so controlling or so aggro that I just don't have a chance. Or there's no hope for me at that point. It just does horrible things. So let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Be on the lookout for the Baitor deck. I think it's going to be hilarious once I get a few of the details worked out. have a rough draft of it on this website, and I just got to refine it a little bit, and we'll be good to go for the next video. Probably in a couple of days. Give me a couple of days to work on it, and let's see where we go. But this has been the erupting Eldrazi Hill Kite, if you will. Uh, Link for the deck will be in the description below, as it always is with every one of my deck tech videos. If you haven't been checking them out, what are you doing? Go click on the link, look at the deck yourself, draw some sample hands, play sample through the deck. By the way, even though Moxfield is not an official affiliate or a sponsor, you can sign up for free and make your own decks on here for free. Then you can find me, you can follow me, I'll follow you. It's all good, it's all sweet. Let's go, let's make this happen. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, leave me some love, comment, and just kind of let me know what you're looking forward to for another crazy deck build. Am I doing a 50, 60, 75, $100 budget restriction deck list? Or do you really like my everything is $1 and less builds? Let me know in the comments below. Maybe pay attention for the next poll that could come out soon. You never know what I got up my sleeve. But I've been the Buddha Dragon. Rub that belly for mana, and may all your games be filled with magic. Until the next time, peace out.